Hi there, welcome to another video from my YouTube channel. And today we're dealing with 7 mistakes single ladies make. And from my years of experience in speaking to single ladies, these are about 7 very important mistakes I feel they need to note and to correct. So let's start with number 1. First mistake I think single ladies make is that they make themselves too available. Making yourself too available. All right. Now, you see, the issue is that women are givers, women are lovers. And because of that, they assume that, men are the same way. Men are very different from women. So in the world of women, when you love somebody, you need to give yourself fully to them. You pour yourself out fully to them. But you need to understand that for men, it's a bit different. When you give too much, when you are too available, it doesn't help respect. All right. So as a woman, you have to do your best not to be too available. All right. This is not just talking about playing hard to get or pretending, but you are kind of, managing yourself, managing your availability. Because giving too much sometimes gets the adverse effect, especially for men, gets you the adverse effect when you give too much of yourself to him and when you are too available for him. All right. So it's very important that you manage your presence. You manage the gift of your presence. You don't forget that you are the prize. All right. You are the one to be chased. So when you are too available, one of the things that happens is that you demotivate a man by doing that. All right. As opposed to, what women think is that when you give too much, you demotivate him. All right. He doesn't see a need to chase you anymore because you are just too available. All right. You are just too available. So manage, or I can say mize, your availability. Because when you give too much, you demotivate him. Now, another thing that happens when you give too much is that it drains him emotionally. It drains him emotionally. Now, men and women get their emotional tanks filled up differently. For women, most times, they get their emotional tank filled when they connect with somebody they love. But for men get their emotional tanks filled when they get space. Men usually need space to get their tanks full. Women need companionship to get their tanks full. So when there's a love relationship going on or something close to that going on, a guy is in your life or a girl is around and you guys are talking and all that, don't be tempted to be too available. Understand that for men, too much too quickly is not good for them. For men, they usually need seasons of separation. They need space to reboot. You see, Adam was first alone in the garden for many years. So he got so used to it. In fact, Adam didn't even pray for a wife. It was God that said, it's not good for this man to be alone. So Adam never prayed for a wife. So Adam kind of mastered how to live on his own. He's used to that periods of separation. So men need that. Every time a man has an encounter with you or talks to you or relates with you, has deep conversations with you, he gets kind of emotionally drained. So he needs to separate again for some time to come back again. Now, those of you that have had constant relationship with men, you must have noticed that sometimes he comes on strong, he's texting you and calling you every day and is in your face. Then all of a sudden again, he disappears. It's normal for men to do that. However, you need to manage the whole process to make sure, he's not too tired of you. All right. He's not so drained emotionally. So give him space. It's okay to give him space. All right. Because being too available has a way that it drains him emotionally. All right. And number 3, being too available breeds contempt. All right. It's very simple. Like they say, familiarity breeds contempt. When you are too available, all right, it has a way that it reduces your value before people. It's just normal. All right. It's just normal. When you are too available, it has a way it reduces your value. All right. Everything of great value, is not easily accessible. That's just how it works. So you have to be able to manage, how available you make yourself. You have to manage how available you make yourself. Familiarity breeds contempt. Let me read you a scripture. Let me read you a scripture that will help you. Proverbs 27 verse 7. Proverbs 27 verse 7. It said, one who is full loads honey from the comb. It said, but the hungry, even what is bitter tastes sweet. What they're saying there is that, look, when somebody is full, he gets to, hate something that is actually nice. Honey is sweet, but they say when he gets it too much, he kind of hates it. He said, but to the hungry man, to the person that is still thirsty, is every bitter thing even tastes sweet. They're just trying to say, look, manage your availability. Manage your availability. Don't be too available all the time. Don't be too available all the time. All right? Being there, too available, makes you common. Makes you common. Nobody values something that is too available. Everybody values something that is rare. So no matter how anxious you are about relationships, no matter how passionate you are about relationships, you need to manage your availability. Be scarce sometimes. Be scarce sometimes. It's okay to be scarce. It actually increases your value. It increases the desire to be with you when you are scarce. But when you are too available, it gets totally the opposite reaction. People get tired of you. Familiarity breeds contempt. Let me read you one more scripture. Proverbs 25, verse 16 and 17. It says, when you discover something sweet, it said, don't overindulge. Did you see that? So when you discover something sweet, don't overindulge. Say, don't and eat more than you need. Don't overindulge and eat more than you need. It said, for excess in anything can make you sick of even a good thing. It said, excess of anything can make you sick of it. He said, don't wear out your welcome by staying too long at the home of your friends. Don't wear out your welcome. He said, or they may get fed up with always having you there and wish you hadn't come. There are many other interesting versions of that. You can go and check it out yourself. What are they saying here? They're saying, don't just be too available. You don't have to talk every day. You don't have to call every hour. But don't be too available. Being too available just makes you look like you don't even have something else you're doing with your life. And you see, human beings are interesting. Because sometimes ladies will think, oh, if I'm available, I love him, or I want to love him, I want us to have a relationship, I need to show him I care. That's the wrong way to go. You need to create what they call the miss me or miss you factor. You see, miss you factor. That means give him some fresh air to even miss talking to you. If you're always in the picture, the only option he has is to get tired of you and miss his periods of solitude. So instead of missing you, he will miss the times when he can be alone. But you see, if you give him enough space, he will miss the times when he can be with you. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So you need to understand how it works for men. Now, for women, like I said, women make this mistake because for women fill up their emotional tank by companionship. For men, it's totally different. Men fill up their emotional tank with space. So even for those that are married, they know this because sometimes the guy doesn't want to talk. He just wants to watch news. He wants to play this PS4. He wants to do something because that's how he gets his own tank filled. When he's stressed, he doesn't want to talk. So give him some space. Master that art. A wise person once said, he said, love often dies, not because of starvation, but it dies of indigestion. All right? Very important. He said, love doesn't often die because of starvation, but of indigestion. What are they saying? They're saying love doesn't often die because the person is starved of love. He said love sometimes dies because of too much love, too much presence, too much availability. All right? So manage your presence, especially during the friendship stage, during the I don't know if this is going to become something stage, and even during the relationship stage, manage your presence. All right? Once in a while, be scarce. All right? Give the person some freedom. Don't always be in their face. With relationships, there's something called too much. You can actually be too available that your value or the value of your presence begins to reduce. So wisdom points. Number 1, have a life. Have a life. Because what I'm telling you is not to pretend to be unavailable. I'm saying really be unavailable. Have a life. Because you need a life before you can have a life partner. Have other aspects of your life that is actually interesting. Have something else you're doing, with your life. You can't just sit and be waiting to be married. Fill your life with other interesting things. Your whole happiness can't depend on somebody else. All right? So build a system for your life. Invest in some other things that you like. What are your hobbies? What are your passions? What things are you interested in? Have a life. You see, when you have a life and you actually have something you're doing with your life, whenever you separate from this person and you come again, you will have something to share. You will have something, you're bringing energy from whatever you were doing. But when you depend on this person solely for your energy, for your mood, for your happiness, you kind of drain the person. Okay? So have a life. All right? That's wisdom point number 1. Wisdom point number 2. Don't insist on talking every time. Don't insist on being in their face every time. All right? It's okay to go 1-2 days without talking. It's okay. Because I know for many people, they say, oh, I want to talk every hour. Look, you're going to wear out that relationship too quickly. It's okay to savor the relationship, miss the person, have time to even think about the relationship. But if you want to be in the picture every minute, you want to talk every minute, very soon both of you will get tired of each other. So genuinely, don't insist on talking every time. No, spread it. And even if you must keep in touch every day, don't make every day an intense conversation. All right. Now, remember, I'm not talking about people in a very, very serious relationship. I'm talking about just general single ladies. You are either just friends with a guy, you just met a guy, or you're at the stage where you're trying to develop something from that relationship. Don't choke his space. All right. Don't insist on talking every time. Wisdom point number 3. Be disciplined and remember what you want. Be disciplined. Because for some women, they are so used to having 100% attention. It might take discipline to, restrain yourself from reaching out every day. It might take discipline to do that because you are so anxious. Maybe you're anxious about this relationship. You are so, hungry for this attention. It takes discipline. Remember what you really want. What do you really want? You really want this relationship, the energy to remain high. You don't want to, be too available or to pour in too much and kill it. You want the energy to remain high. All right? So you manage it. It's like salt. Salt is great because it gives taste to the food. But if you put it too much, it suddenly makes the food, something you can't eat. So you need to manage that, your presence. So remember what you really want. You want the energy in this relationship to continue being high. You don't want it to drop too quickly. It happens in many relationships. Maybe they start, before long, the whole energy drops because everybody's tired of everybody. All right? So remember what you want. You want the energy to be high. Remember the times you've been too available and how it went. Remember those times that you were just too available, in the picture every minute. Remember how the energy dropped. Remember those days. All right? You have enough to remember to motivate you to be disciplined. First point is don't be too available. No matter how anxious you are about a relationship, no matter how bad you want this relationship, even sometimes when you miss the person, it's okay to miss the person. It's part of how to savor the relationship and the whole process. Because trust me, as things go on, you won't have the opportunity of having this whole part of this relationship again. So enjoy this season, miss each other a bit. There's a miss you factor. There's the miss you factor that makes the relationship exciting all the time. Not when the person is missing the periods they are not with you. So that's not how it should be. They should be missing the periods they are with you. Don't insist on talking every time and don't be in their face all the time. So that's point number 1. Number 2, second common mistake single ladies make, all right, is not defining relationships. Not defining relationships. Over the years, I've seen many single ladies make this mistake. They meet a guy, they enter something that is kind of a relationship. We usually call it situationships. They enter something and there's no definition to it. They really don't know what they're doing, all right? They're doing many things that people in a relationship do, but without the clarity and commitment of a relationship. So this mistake is basically not defining your relationships. And most times when I talk to ladies and say, why are you in something that is not defined? They give me the same reason. They say, because I don't want to look desperate. I don't want to look desperate. And I'm telling you, many single ladies have adopted this strategy. The same bad strategy. Most women have the same bad strategy. And the strategy is simply saying, play along. All right, play along, give this man all he wants, and hope that he will like me enough to commit to me. All right, that's the strategy most single ladies have. Play along, give this man all he wants, then hope that one day he will like me enough to commit to me. That's a bad strategy. That's a bad strategy. You are afraid or scared or bothered about looking desperate, but this strategy you are using is also making you look desperate. This strategy is already making you look desperate. What's this strategy? This strategy simply is saying, I'm not honest. I'm so desperate that I'm not honest or sincere enough to make my own expectations known. All right? You say you don't want to look desperate, but you're already looking desperate by the strategy you are employing. Your strategy is simply saying, I'm too desperate to be honest and sincere about my expectations. That's what you're saying by this strategy. So you're already communicating some desperation. You are saying, look, I'm too desperate to be honest. I'm too desperate to be sincere about my expectations. So I'm going to hide my genuine expectations and pretend like I'm okay till something happens. That's a bad strategy. That's a bad strategy because playing along without ever really asking and discussing about your own expectations, will put you in a bad place. And a lot of ladies have gone through this. Some are even right inside of this. All right. Using this strategy, number one, will make you feel, used. You end up, being or feeling used. So a lot of ladies, have gone through things like this, and at the end they'll say, "Oh, after all I did for you," they end up feeling and being used because the guy most times, is enjoying himself, and the lady is hoping something happens. So being in this situation makes you end up being used and feeling used. Second thing that this causes for you is that you end up being at his mercy. I can't count the amount of times a lady has called me and said, "Pastor, pray for me that my boyfriend proposes. Pray for me that my fiancé marries me." And I'm wondering, what did you get into? You can't be at the mercy of another person. You see, you're already using a strategy, just that you're using the wrong strategy. You are already looking desperate because you're just using the wrong strategy. You're already looking desperate. You see, and it's no more a secret that you want to marry. It's not a secret. So you are using a strategy, just that your strategy is simply saying, I'll pretend and play along, and hope that he marries me. No, you don't have to be at his mercy. It's a relationship. Both of you are in this together. So you end up being at his mercy. And you don't know how long this is going to last. 10 years, 15 years, 7 years. I've seen people that have dated for 10 years. And you're at his mercy, hoping that he will take you to the next level. You see, your life is not meant to be that, it's not meant to be in such, confusion. You're not supposed to live by chance. You should live by choice. The third thing that this does to you is that you end up laying a foundation of passivity. That means this guy doesn't know what you want and believes it's okay in this relationship for only him to get his needs met. You see, you are laying a foundation that will continue throughout. Even if you get married with him or you continue dating him or you marry one day, it will continue that way. He will keep, sharing his own expectations. He will keep being used to his own needs being clarified and met. And he will expect that you will never have a need. Because what happens most times in marriage is that the man is hoping the woman will never change and the woman is hoping to change the man. That's what happens. So even when they enter marriage, they start having conflict and they're wondering why. It's very simple. Both of them were assuming. So the guy is assuming, oh, this lady is so nice. She doesn't have any needs. She doesn't have any expectations of me. I can do anything I want to do. I can be silent and not keep in touch for 1 week and she's fine. I can disappear, and come back the next day and she's fine. You see, you are laying a foundation of passivity that you don't want to continue. It's important you clarify things. All right? Standards don't drive away serious people. Standards don't push away serious prospects. Most ladies assume if I have standards, it's either I will appear desperate or I will push away serious prospects. No, you won't. Standards never push away people that are serious. People that are serious value standards. They rise to the occasion as opposed to running away. Men are usually very clear about what they want in a relationship. They are usually clear either with their words or their actions what they want in a relationship. If they just want to waste your time, they show you that they have no plans. If they just want to be having sex with you, they show you that I'm not thinking anything serious. Men are very clear about what they want. Either they say it verbally or they demonstrate it in their actions. But if you look well, you will know the signals. All right? You will know the signals. He's not involving you in his future. He's not making any clear plans known. He's not introducing you to people that matter. He's showing you that you are not in his future. He's showing you there are no long-term plans. It is women usually that hide their own expectations. It's women that hide their expectations. So stop hiding your expectations. It's important to make it clear what you actually expect. Standards don't push away the right people. All right? Don't ever forget that. Standards don't push away the right people. It actually, ignites the right person to rise to the occasion. So what are the wisdom points for this particular one? Number one, be ready to walk away. All right? Be ready to walk away. Because, relationships are like negotiations. So, two people meet. What makes us align is that our paths cross, is that our objectives cross. The moment our objectives don't cross, then we continue going apart, and there's no problem with that. But the moment our objectives cross, then we are together. All right? So, if you are going to negotiate well, you must be ready to walk away. It's one of the rules of negotiation. If you want to win, you can't be desperate. You can't be saying this or nothing. The moment you come to the negotiating table with the mentality that this or nothing, what happens is that once you are given a bad deal, you will take it because you don't want to walk away. Negotiation is actually a battle of wills. So if you are desperate, or you've made up your mind that I want this by all means, no matter what they offer me, then you're going to walk out of there with a bad deal. So be ready to walk away. Be ready that if this relationship doesn't meet my own expectations, no matter how the other person feels, I'm going to walk away. You must be ready to walk away. You must be ready to say, this might not be the final bus stop for me. All right? That's the honest truth. If you're going to be happy in the long term, you must be ready to walk away today. Okay? That's wisdom point number one. Wisdom point number two, say clearly what you want and expect from the relationship. Have a meeting. Have a discussion. Remember, you don't have to tell the man ahead that we need to talk. Men hate that. All right? So when something is going on, you guys are out on a date, having ice cream, doing something fun, everybody's relaxed, bring it up. Let's say, hey, I even wanted to, bring this up. I want to know, what are your own expectations about this relationship? You see, start from there. Start from making him talk. Don't start from talking. Sometimes women make that mistake. Say, I want to say something. No. Start from asking him. Say, what are your own expectations? What do you have in mind? You see, we're getting close, or we're in a relationship, or we're in a situationship. What are your expectations? Now, when he shares his own, you share your own and see if it aligns. So say clearly what you expect. Say, hey, I'm 35 years old. I'm 25 years old. I'm a mature single. All right. I'm not planning to just hang out indefinitely. I need to know where I'm going with my life. At the stage of my life, I'm looking for somebody to settle down with. And there's nothing to be ashamed about. You see, I don't know why people are not ashamed to ask for premarital sex, but they are ashamed to discuss marriage. That's what I don't understand. Somebody is clearly asking you to sleep with you when he's not married to you, but you are ashamed to say you want to marry first before you sleep with him. I don't understand how that works. So say clearly what you want and your expectations from this relationship. If marriage is what you are thinking, then say so. If the marriage has, time frame, then also say so. All right? Also say so. And when you're having this conversation for a lady, please note, all right? Try to be clear, try to be logical, be confident, all right? And do it in a non-dramatic, non-emotional, a non-threatening way. All right? Men hate things like you want to talk next week and you're saying I need to talk from this week. No. If you want to talk, get the environment to be right and just talk. But be logical. All right? Don't be emotionally charged. Don't start crying. Be logical. Be confident. You know what you want out of life. You are not begging, all right, a guy to love you. You are not feeling inferior. This is just a normal negotiation. If you get a job, they won't tell you just start working and we'll pay you whatever we want. No, all these things must be clearly spelled out. You are not a desperate person by asking them what was their plan for remuneration. What are they planning to pay? You're not desperate for doing that. It's normal to do that. In fact, they will think something is wrong with you if you don't ask that and you want to start working. In fact, it will show that you don't value yourself if you don't discuss that before you start working. So it's absolutely normal. So let it be non-emotional. It shouldn't be dramatic, because I'm not saying you should start crying or things like that. No, have a logical, confident conversation, all right, about what you want. Keep your head clear. Know what you want before you start the conversation and speak, all right? Say clearly the things you want out of the relationship. Then number 3, wisdom point, set and agree on clear timelines. Very important. Set and agree on clear timelines. Don't let somebody tell you, oh yes, we'll marry, but let's see how it goes. No. So when are we looking at? If it's in 2 years' time, then we'll look at that. If it's in 1 year, there must be some clear timelines. Like I've said, I've seen people that have dated for 10 years. I've seen people that have dated for 15 years. Not to count the 7 years, the 5 years, and things like that. So let there be some definition. How long is this going to be? And even if you say 2 years, then there are some little short progress points that we can use to measure if we're heading towards our dreams or not. So I personally don't advise you to have, for it to be so long from when you start the relationship. Don't start a relationship and you're planning to marry in 5 years. That's just too early to tie yourself down. All right? So let it be clear. What are the timelines? When are we planning to get married? And what are the steps we need to take? Set and agree, both of you, on clear timelines. All right? And that will help you, define the relationship. Ask, what are we? All right? So be ready to walk away. What are your expectations? What are we? Are we just friends? Are we in a relationship? If we're just friends, am I allowed to date other people? If we're in a relationship, what kind of relationship is it? Is it just a close friendship, or are we in a relationship heading to marriage? Set it, and you need to say what you want. Don't pretend to be happy with whatever they offer you. Say what you want. Very important. All right. And number 3, set and agree on clear timelines. All right. Point number 3, giving too much too soon. All right. Giving too much too soon. Like I said earlier on in one of the other points, sometimes women believe that, hey, I need to pour out everything I have at the same time. No, spread your impact. No matter how anxious you are about this marriage or this relationship, be careful about giving too much too soon. All right? I actually preached a message one time on relationships titled Too Fast, Too Serious. There's a movie called Too Fast, Too Furious, but the one I preached was Too Fast, Too Serious. Don't get too serious with this relationship too fast. Don't invest everything you have all at once. Don't open up every aspect of your life to this person immediately you meet. It's a common mistake ladies make. Oh, one guy says, I love you, and he has been calling you and chatting up with you every day and every night, and the next thing, you open every aspect of your life to him. No. Be slow. Also give him time to savor meeting you. Also give him the experience of unveiling you in chapters. Don't pour out the whole thing. All right. See, you are trying to manage momentum. At the same time, you're trying to manage, how precious your heart is. You don't open everything up at once. All right. Let him earn it level by level. All right. Just like on the highway in relationships, speed kills. Speed kills. All right. Same thing in highway, same thing in relationship. So don't pour out everything at once. All right, spread the experience of meeting and knowing you. Spread the experience. You don't have to share your life secret on the first date. Share the experience. Let people qualify for each level you open to them. Let people qualify. I like how computer games run. You have to qualify before you experience some certain things. They don't pour out the whole thing. You see, and these aspects of computer games and co have been processed by professional psychologists and people like that. They've realized that, look, if we give you the whole experience, you will get tired of this game quickly. So they allow you earn a level, you earn some superpower, you earn something. That's how life should be. Even God doesn't unveil everything about himself the first day. You keep growing to know him. So you don't pour out yourself in one night. First date, and you have shared everything about your life, everything. See, things that are precious are never easy to access. Things that have value are never, easy to access. You find out that it's protected. There's a process to getting it. Don't pour out yourself the whole day. It's not everybody that should have the privilege of hearing some of the intimate things that are in your heart, or some of the things you have gone through in your past. It's not just everybody you meet you pour it out to. Let them earn every stage that they get to. Let them earn every level that they get to. All right? Let people qualify for a level before you give it to them. Very important. Let them earn it. Let them earn it by their consistency, by their compassion, by their commitment. Let them earn it. Don't just be quick. First date, you've told them everything. Maybe you've been raped when you were young. Maybe you were molested. Maybe your ex, and you are saying the whole story. The first date. You see, sometimes some level of truth can be handled by some level of commitment. In other words, there are things you can't reveal when the relationship is not yet stable. Because if people don't know you enough, sometimes they can't tolerate what you have been through. But when a relationship, a real bond has been formed, there are things they can handle. All right? So manage it. I'm not talking about playing hard to get. I'm just saying let people cross levels before they are handed, some certain level of privacy or a certain level of information. All right? Don't be quick to pour out everything all at once. Let's be like God. In those days in the Old Testament, to enter God's presence, there were 3 stages. There was the outer court, the inner court, and the holies of holies. There were the outer court, the inner court, and the holies of holies. So follow God's example. The outer court was for everybody. Everyone came into the outer court, But that's where they did sacrifices. But you see, the inner court was for someone. So the outer court was for everyone. The inner court was for some people. That's why I said someone. For some people. So outer court, everybody, the whole crowd, everybody in the world is in the outer court. Inner court is only the priests that entered the inner court. Then the holies of holies, it was only the chosen one. That's the high priest. That's the only person that made it in there. So you see, as great as God is, he allows people to stay in stages. Some people are just meant to be in the outer court of your life. There shouldn't be private, some very important things going on in your life. Some other people, they're in the inner court. Maybe they've been there for a while, consistency, commitment. But amongst all those people, there's only one that will make it into the holies of holies. All right, you manage people in stages. That's why it's not everything you have to give. Some people they start cooking before the time. They start giving money into a relationship too much too soon. Too much too soon. All these things should operate in stages. All right, some people start giving money to a guy. You just started dating. You don't even know him long enough. You start buying a house together, buying a car together, or you want to move in, and go and spend the night. You are giving too much too soon. You start cleaning his house too much too soon. Those things are not going to help your value. I know in the world of women and the mind of women, they think, oh, I love this person, I need to give to him. I understand that, but like I told you earlier, it doesn't work like that for men. If you give too much too soon, it helps the man not to value you. Don't pour too much too soon. Start cooking. Then some people even start sleeping, having sex. Oh, a lot of ladies have made that mistake. Listen, when you build that foundation, you're not helping the future of your relationship. When you're building the foundation of giving him what doesn't belong to him, sex is only for the holies of holies. It's only for somebody that has married you, for the chosen one. Not somebody intending to marry you, but somebody that has married you. He's the only one that deserves it. So be careful about giving that away. Because once you give it away, you can't take it back. You need to understand that. So even people that are not Christians, they try to say things like, oh, the 90-day rule. Me, I don't even believe in the 90-day rule, but I understand where that means they are even able to appreciate that giving sex too quickly it doesn't have a positive impact on relationships. It has a totally adverse impact because you are teaching that man to take something that doesn't belong to him. When you get married, he's not just going to change because you are married now. He will continue seeking to take what doesn't belong to him. All right? Very important. So don't give too much too soon. All right? Don't give too much too soon. Be like God. Outer court, inner court, and the holies of holies. Let's read one scripture. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 6. It says, do not give dogs what is sacred. It said, do not throw your pearls to pigs. It said, if you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. It means they won't value it. You can't give pearls to pigs. Let them appreciate it first. Let them value it first before you give it to them. All right? Very important. All right? Patience and process is the master of deceit. Patience and process is the master of deceit. Many women tell me, how do I know a guy is pretending? How do I know a guy is not faking it? Very simple. Patience, take time. Then processes. Put some basic processes. Some basic boundaries. Most people that are trying to deceive you usually will not have patience and they will not like processes. All right? Give it time. Don't rush it. Then processes like, oh, you need to meet my pastor. You need to meet my mentor. If you want to date me, we need to say no sex before marriage. You see, when you set those kind of boundaries and put those kind of processes in place, any man just chasing you for sex will give up. He will usually give up. See, processes and standards will never drive or chase away the right person. Don't forget that. It will only always push away the person that is not serious, the person that wants to deceive you. All right? Patience and process is the master of deception. Very important. Okay? So,